I turn to the next speaker, Monsieur Jean, autrement dit Sébastien. Sébastien, vous avez le floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll be happy to come back to these issues of saving surplus and investment in Europe. They are key, I guess. But I thought, as a matter of introducing our discussions today, I might share a few thoughts about what is coming with the new Trump administration. The first keyword, I think, with Trump is almost by definition uncertainty. I mean, he boasts about being unpredictable. And the preferential favorite domain of application of this uncertainty, of course, is trade. So what will be applied? It's a big question. I guess that the whole, I mean, if you take the whole set of threats that he's been making, this is far too inflationary to be acceptable even for him, not for economic reasons, but just for domestic political reasons. So my take is that certainly he will use tariffs, he will do something, but certainly not all what he threatened to do, which leaves us, of course, with quite a big, large uncertainty. Added to that is the uncertainty about the responses by other countries. I mean, partners will retaliate. I take that for sure. But I'm also assuming that most, if not all, partners will only partially retaliate, not trying to match the American duties, at least in terms of the WTO usual meaning of matching in terms of trade distortion. They will more use that as a political leverage, which, by the way, probably will be the name of the game in any case, even from the American point of view. What will be the impact? Well, first impact with uncertainty is that this is bad for investment, of course. So, and by the way, uncertainty will also concern the impact on the energy markets because of this, the program and all this program of deregulation on the US market. I mean, it's a big question mark. There will be also, I guess, an impact which will be weakening the international multilateral trading system at a time where trade tensions are already high. By the way, this year, trade defense instrument, anti-dumping mainly, by emerging economies against Chinese imports was almost double the number raised in 2023. It does not mean that it's too early to take it as a long-term trend because there's a lot of year-on-year variability. But I think it's an interesting indicator of the degree of tension already on world markets, in particular on manufacturing goods world market. But I think another important dimension to take into account is that while Trump is better prepared than he was for his first mandate, he's also prepared regarding his objective. He's also, he will be taking office in a world where I think there is much willingness to remain open by third countries. We've been witnessing in recent years that something like between 5 and 7 trade agreements are signed and enforced a year, including important agreements like recently RCEP, like CPTPP and the accession discussions, like innovative agreement like ACCTS, etc. So there is also a willingness of partnerships, a willingness by businesses to adapt as well. I think part of the impact might be as well to have increasingly the US as an outlier in world trade and in world economics. In a context where, by the way, as well, for all the speech about regionalization, when you look at trade data, there is no regionalization. Actually, the average distance in trade is increasing slightly in recent years, not decreasing, okay? So this situation where the US might be increasingly isolated, I think also raises interesting questions in terms of exchange rates. at a time where we hear the incoming Scott Bessent, the next finance minister, actually, for the US, saying that he would like to depreciate the value of the dollar, while everything in Trump's program, a priori, seems to be announcing more inflation and probably a higher dollar. So what will be the impact? I think it's really puzzling, and that's also a big source of uncertainty. We're not in 1985 anymore. And I think nobody believes that just by the magic of a few words and signing a few accords, they would bring down the dollar, even though perhaps they could try and convince the Chinese to manage a bit differently their currency. So that's probably also a big source of uncertainty, possibly a risk of shocks as well, depending on the way they handle these matters. I mean, that's a dangerous, somehow inflammatory matter with a lot of risk for emerging countries, by the way, because the ripple effects might be large in a context where many countries are highly indebted in dollars. So I think this is also a big challenge. Because we were asked to be short, I'll conclude here with just a few words about the fact that we need to respond with improved coordination and coordination on trade, on financial matters as well, recognizing, I think, in doing so, what is a bit new and special in the present era, in the present times, namely the need, the political need, and perhaps actual need of economic security and policies to deliver on that respect, and most of all, the need to engage serious and more quickly in climate transitions and the policies to do so. So that must be key if we want to update the kind of agreement and coordination devices we are living with. Sorry.
Thank you very much for your concision and for, I would say, mentioning the exchange rate as a possible discussion between us, because it's, I trust, a very important one indeed. Thank you.